one story that hits home for me as someone with other friends like Dana Rohrabacher and Steve King have met with Baloch leaders from the Baloch area, the Balochistan area of Pakistan. It's the area where most of Pakistan's minerals are located. It's an area where Pakistan has, for many years, terrorized the Baloch people, killed them, just persecuted them mercilessly. They want the Baloch area's minerals and assets to keep Pakistan going and basically radicalized, but they don't want to let the people live in peace. I have proposed in a previous op-ed a couple of years ago that perhaps it's time to look at encouraging a new Baloch state, a new country of Balochistan, as independent of Pakistan, so that the people can live in peace, so they don't have to be worried about Pakistan officials and military coming through and committing really crimes against these people. After I wrote that op-ed and included a statement that perhaps it's time to join in the encouragement for a new Balochistan state, there was an article in the Pakistani daily paper that said that, in essence, maybe it is time to quit persecuting the Baloch, reach out to them, and try to figure out a way where we could let them live in, or they could let them live in peace, because to Pakistan that area was important. And the op-ed from the Pakistan paper also indicated that perhaps they needed to quit funding and helping the Taliban defeat the Americans in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, and just concentrate on their own country. That would have been wonderful, and would still be. This story is out from the Toronto Sun, and since it regards the Balochistan province in Pakistan, and by the way, I'd heard from numerous of our American military and from others in Afghanistan that most of the supplies to the Taliban are coming from Pakistan through the Baloch area of Pakistan. And that's why the thought was triggered, well, maybe if Balochistan was independent of Pakistan, that would cut off the supply to the terrorist Taliban in Afghanistan and would save a lot of American lives. But since that had been said, we've lost hundreds more American soldiers, lots more American blood has been shed because we have failed to neutralize the Taliban, and they have continued apparently to grow in their efforts to take over Afghanistan shortly after we leave. This article, though, says it would have been inconceivable that any U.S. official, let alone a Secretary of State, would host a delegation from Serbia the day after mass graves were discovered in Srebrenica in 1995. Yet on Sunday, a day after bullet-ridden bodies were discovered in suspected mass graves in Pakistan's military-controlled province of Balochistan, Secretary of State John Kerry was toasting a delegation of Pakistan security officials at the State Department. Balochistan and human rights officials say 169 bodies have been uncovered so far. Pakistani officials put the number at 15. Victims and families of Baloch youth disappeared and who are feared to be among the decomposed bodies being unearthed from the mass graves, had hoped that Kerry would raise the issue with his Pakistani counterpart. Instead, they heard Kerry say to Pakistanis, "We're really delighted to have you back, and I look forward to our continued conversation." America looked the other way in 1971 when the Pakistan Army slaughtered 1 million of its own citizens in what is now Bangladesh. What emerged was a country that hosted the mastermind of the 9/11 attacks, allowed Osama bin Laden to operate on its soil for more than a decade, and whose terrorists have been involved in numerous jihadi attacks around the world, ever since the bombings of U.S. embassies in East Africa and the attack on USS Cole off Yemeni waters. Yet America continues to give Pakistan billions of dollars in aid, which is then turned around to generate more hatred towards the West and produce more jihadi terrorists. Inserting